Welcome everyone, happy Friday. I don't have a playlist with the song that I was just playing because it's a single and I haven't made one yet, but if you do like to play music along with my voice, I'm gonna go ahead and drop in the chat. Thank you, Gina. I'm gonna drop in the chat a link to an album by the same artist. And so it has a very similar vibe. It's pretty good for deep stretch. So if you'd like some music inspiration, here's a Spotify album link that I just dropped in the chat. And in terms of props today, if you have blocks and a strap, like just standard blocks and a strap, fantastic. If you don't, you'll just need something that can work as a strap, which can be like a little hand towel or something. And then also a bigger towel that you can roll up into a pretty thick roll. So this towel I have rolled in a little bit of a funky way. Let's see. What I want is thicker than if you just rolled it up like this. I want it to be rolled so that we can get a pretty thick, like block size something out of it. A blanket will work fine too. What we're gonna do, just as a preview, is step on it. So you want to be able to like actually step on it and have your leg raised. So once again, just in terms of props, we're going to be working with blocks if you have them. If you don't, we'll just use a towel or a blanket that you can roll up to get about block height so that we can step on it. And then the other prop we'll be using is a strap, or you can always use like a little hand towel, or honestly just the same towel. So I'll give you just a moment to get those props situated, and then we'll get started. Per my usual, start in a seated position. Feel free to sit in a chair. If you're just really needing to stand up right now because you've been seated all morning, not a problem. You're welcome to do that as well. So find a seat with an upright spine. You can even sit on top of your rolled up towel or block. Get the hips elevated a little bit. That can help with creating an elongated spine. And this is just so that we can be easeful while giving the signal to the body that we're also alert. And that's one of the powers of yoga, especially these deep stretch type of classes, these slower classes, is training our system to be both calm and restful while awake and alert at the same time. So we're balancing more in the middle of the central nervous system that will allow us to make wise decision, skillful action, and have a more healthful physiological system throughout the day so we can respond to stress in a healthier way. So once you're seated, take a little bit of just a weight shifting. You can go in circles around your seat, or if you're standing, just sort of shift your weight around and allow the eyes to just gaze at a point in front of you and defocus a little bit so you're not really staring at one thing. You might observe what you have in your peripheral vision just to help with that defocusing, that deprogramming of that laser pointer vision. And then have the awareness, that point of focus in the mind, drift down towards your seat or your feet, just wherever you're feeling this motion of the weight shifting around, and allow it to just sway. Allow your awareness, that point of focus, to just sway around with the weight. Just feeling the different points of contact between the seat or the feet and the floor or the props beneath you. Then we'll add one more layer here. You can switch the circles you're making, going the other direction, and then bring in some awareness of gravity. So this might make you slow down your circling a little bit, which is totally fine, but invite in an awareness of just how heavy the body is underneath the weight of gravity. Take a couple deep breaths in through the nose if it's available while you're still doing this motion. If you're congested, go through the mouth. syncing up our awareness with our body movement, as well as how our body is relating to the space around us. And then slowly bring the movement to a stop over center. Re-reach the crown towards the sky, and then allow the eyes to completely close. And pause here, observing any vibrations, any movement you still feel within the energetic body that is residual after the movement. Invite some relaxation into the jaw and the temples. In doing this, you might actually feel your cranial sacral system shift around a little bit. Your jaw might shift. You might notice some facial muscles changing. It's welcome. It's just the body adjusting. Take 3 rounds of deep inhales, sending the breath all the way to the base of the body at the tail. If you're standing, all the way into the feet if you can. On the exhales, follow the breath all the way out, honoring the magnitude of the exhale as just as important as its counterpart. Arriving here with each breath, gathering and collecting all the extraneous pieces of the mind and the energetic body in to meet the same space that our physical body rests within. Take 1 more deep inhale. Open mouth, sigh for an exhale. Bring the hands to touch at heart center, pressing into each other, activating both sides of the brain through the simple touch of our hands. The invitation in this practice today is to bring along a person or a being into this space with you would like to carry through this care. So imagine a human or perhaps a pet or an entity that you are wanting to send love, self-care, strengthening, fortitude, nourishment to, and invite that person, that entity into your mind, into your space to be here with you as you practice today with us together. And if that doesn't resonate, no problem. You are plenty enough to be here. To acknowledge and affirm this intention to create a collective practice, gently bow the head towards the heart. Release the hands and take on some light with the eyes. Transition your awareness back into the room, back into the space. We can move mindfully with skillful awareness of our surrounding. Remove any props beneath you. And come to a tabletop position, patting the knees if they're a little tender. With the wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips, take an inhale, pull the heart forward, let the belly drop, coming into a cow stretch. And on the exhale, curl the tail under, suck the belly into the spine, chin comes towards the chest as the whole spine arches up towards the ceiling, press firmly into the knees and the palms. And as you inhale, relax the spine down, belly drops, heart pulls forward into a cow stretch. Take a couple rounds of this cat-cow undulation with the breath, inviting a smooth, long round of each breath. So bringing some intention into the rhythm of our breath and the depth. Also honoring whatever the body is needed and needing in this moment. And if that means a quicker pace, let it be so. And on your next exhale, pause in a neutral spine. Take your right hand and flip it around so that your fingertips are facing your knee. And begin to lower your palm back down onto the earth. This may be plenty stretch for the wrist, and if they're feeling a little tender, just come out of that shape. If you'd like a little bit more stretch in that wrist and inner forearm, all the way up through the palm, you can begin to bend the right elbow down, engaging through the core and the inner legs to support the body to stay upright, so you're not actually giving your weight into this right wrist. 2 breaths here. And release the right fingertips back to their original position. You can give your wrist a little roll before placing it back down. And switch sides, bringing the weight into your right palm. Gently flip the left hand so that the fingertips are reaching back towards the left knee. You can even take the head and give a couple neck rolls, noticing how this makes any stronger sensation in the left arm and wrist, and then also option to bend into that left elbow, peeling the palm up, creating a little bit of stretch in through the palm, up through the fingertips on the underside. 2 deep breaths. And release the palm facing forward. Give it a couple rolls before you place it back down. And re-centering the weight across the shoulders, collarbones broad. Take an inhale, sweep the right leg up and back, toes pointed towards the earth. And a gentle internal rotation of that right leg, reaching the heel far behind, really actively pushing out from the heel. As you exhale, bend the knee, curl the tail, bring the knee in towards the nose, doming the spine towards the ceiling, give a little squeeze of the belly. And on the inhale, expand back out so that right heel reaches back behind you, leg straightens, toes pointed down, foot flexed. And then release the right knee down back to the earth. On the inhale, sweep the left leg up and back. Heel reaches long behind you as if you could press on the wall directly behind you, engaged all the way up through the back line of the leg. On an exhale, bend the knee, curling in so the knee comes towards the nose. Press down through the palms to push the back up towards the ceiling. Belly squeezes in. And inhale, expand back out, collarbones broad. Foot reaching far behind you, toes pointed down. And release the left leg down to the earth, coming back into a tabletop position. Tuck the toes under, take a couple of knee taps up and down so that the knees hover for a moment off the earth and return, and hover and return. Firing up the lower belly, pressing firmly in through the palms, just warming up the body so that we have safe opening as we get into the stretching. And then take as many steps as you need to walk the feet forward to meet the hands. Coming into a forward fold, knees bend any amount here. You can even pedal out the knees a little bit, shifting the hips to one side and then the other. Breathing. Drop the hips down and back, knees bend a lot, root down into the feet, stand strong. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up as you rise in a big sun breath. Palms touch and trace the center line, coming down to rest in prayer position at heart center. And pause, coming to this upright position, giving yourself a moment to adjust. Allow the eyes to close or soften. You can take the hands, if they will reach this far, all the way into the chest. So The outside line of the thumbs are pressing firmly into the sternum. It's making contact with the rhythm of the heartbeat if you can feel it through there. Relax the shoulders down and away from the ears. Release through the jaw. On an inhale, open and expand the arms out to either side. Flip the palms so they're facing away from you, and then bring the backs of the hands in towards the shoulders. So the elbows are firing down, reaching down towards the hips as the back of the hands pull in towards the shoulders. Back of the neck long, crown reaching tall towards the ceiling, chin tucked a little bit in. Root down through all four corners of the feet. On an exhale, begin to push these imaginary walls on either side of the body out to either side. Coming towards straight elbows, no need to go all the way there. If you feel enough stretch before then, fingertips are really flexed up towards the ears, spread far apart. And take this as an opportunity to bring the mind into focus inside of the body and the forces that are coming out of it. So keeping a peripheral attention on the forces reaching away from each other horizontally to the side. So one to the right through your right arm, there's some force coming through your left arm to the left, while simultaneously a rooting down, a force reaching down through the center line of the body that goes straight down through the feet. It's counteracting the force that's reaching from the tail and the base of the pelvis, the pit of the belly, all the way up through the crown of the head. You're really engaging this force in all four directions. And breathe. 2 more breaths. Release the arms, let them float down. Take a wide stance. Root down into the ball of the left foot to just tip that left heel up and then place it back down. Same thing on the other side, root down into the ball of the right foot right underneath the toes to press firmly and lift this right heel up. And place it back down. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, take a bend into the knees, coming into a goddess squat. Hands can trace the line of the legs. As you inhale, root down to stand tall. Exhale, squat down. Take a couple of these bends and straightens of the legs, letting the fingertips trace the flesh or the fabric on top of your legs down to the knees. Engaging through the belly, hugging inward. Next time you sink back down, press down into the left toes of the left foot to lift the heel up. Begin to straighten that left leg. You'll come out of the bend on the right quite a bit. Inhale, sweep the left arm up and over. Let this right arm trace down the right leg. Big side body stretch. As you inhale, come back through center down into the squat. Root down. And then switch sides, pressing into the ball of the right foot. Lift the right heels off the earth. Then begin to slowly straighten that right leg. Come out of the bend as much as necessary on the left leg. And sweep the right arm out, up, and over. Keep a little tuck of the tail so that the belly is engaging the root of your spine down towards the earth. And come back through center, down into the squat. 1 more to each side. Beginning by lifting the heel of the left foot, and then beginning to straighten, then sweeping the arm up and over, going 1 step at a time, honoring all of the interim pieces. One more round. Check in with the neck if you have some tension. Give a little jiggle of the head left to right. Nod your head up and down, releasing the holding in the muscles around the neck and the head. Next time you squat down, take a moment to pause, grow tall out of the waist, then root down through the feet, straighten the legs, inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Maybe fingertips touch as you also pull the root of the tail all the way down, reaching it towards the earth, engaging through the legs, sucking the feet towards each other. And exhale, shake out the arms down, let it all go. Heel toe the feet in towards each other a little bit and begin to sway left to right, letting the opposite heel come off the earth, letting the arms begin to swing around you. One of those old carnival rides where they have the swings. And really let your body be loose here. Take a couple deep cleansing breaths. Open mouth, exhale. Maybe make some noise if it's not going to disturb anyone around you. You can do a little bit of an ah. And then let it slow down. Letting the arms at their own pace come to pause, noting that we're not actually controlling our arms' movement in those moments between the flinging around and the rest. And pause, giving the energy, that motion that's still happening outside and internally within the body, a moment to clear, to settle. Noticing that you can actually feel this happen, that little tingling, that sense of vibration, going from a high speed to settling. Now, if you do have a block, grab that. If you don't, go ahead and grab your towel and place it down on the floor. If you are near a wall, great, or if you have a chair nearby, that might help with balance. Take your right foot, step it on top of the block, and just stand right up. Or on top of that rolled towel, stand right up. And take a moment to get your balance, to find something to help you, whether it's something nearby you can touch or a wall. And just let this left leg hang. And notice if you're kind of like over to the right already, invite a re-leveling of the hips. And then root down through the foot as you grow tall out of the crown. Pick a gaze point directly across the room at something that you can stay focused on just for balance. And then begin to intentionally flex the left foot first so that you fire up through the left leg. Then begin to move the leg, sort of swing it forward and back with control. And notice if your back is arching a lot as you do this, if your ribs are kind of splaying forward as your leg goes back, and then curling in as it goes forward. Invite a restabilization of the torso and have the movement really just originate from the hip. And that may make the movement pretty small, not a problem. Just warming up the hip, feeling what it feels like to move this leg independently of the rest of the body. And now let the control go a little bit and let your leg sort of swing. So you can relax the flex of the foot, you can let the knee bend a little bit, you can let it kind of fling forward to back. You can keep this left hand on the hip, or if you're ready for a little bit more motion, some more momentum, let the arms swing opposite of the leg as if you were running on a treadmill or walking and your legs and your arms are just swinging back and forth. And breathe. We're shaking out one side of the energetic body of the fascia, activating that left psoas. Couple more breaths. And you can get a little messy with it, a little loud, or keep it small. And let the motion come to a pause. Inhale, sweep the left knee up into the chest. Take the left hand to grab the front of the left knee, give a squeeze. And then release down, step off of the block, come back to level footing. Pause here, noticing any tightening or engagement in that right hip, that right leg. And then switch sides. Standing onto the roll for the block, your left foot. Place the right hand on the right hip, find a gaze point in front of you once again. Engage through the left standing leg and have the right hip come level to the left hip. And begin to, with control, move the leg forward and back so that you sense what it feels like to keep the back from bending in accordance with the leg movement. So the back and the torso stay strong and steady. Micro bend in that left standing leg. And once you have a sense of what it feels like to have that leg moving forward and back without having a huge reaction in the spine happen, then let it start to fling. Let that knee bend. Let your ankle be loose. Engaging through the belly to still keep that strong foundation. An option to involve the arm now, right arm swinging forward and back. Two more breaths. This may be something that you don't feel much in right now, but it comes out later. So maybe take note later this evening how your hip, your psoas is feeling, any muscles you normally feel with a lunge. Take a couple exaggerated swings. And then let it come to a pause at its own rate. And as you're ready, step off the block, recenter on level ground. Bring the block in front of you. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up towards the sky. Root the feet down, pressing through the heels a lot. Heavy through the heels. Exhale, swan dive forward. Coming down to bend the knees as much as necessary and come down to rest the hands on the block in front of you or on the knees if you don't have something like that right handy. Reach the spine long. We're in a halfway lift so the tail's reaching back. Crown of the head is reaching forward. Root the right hand down into the block. Bend into the right knee so that your right hip drops a bit. Left leg stays extended until you start to feel a big stretch to the outside line of this left leg. Take the left hand to the left hip and open the shoulder, or the elbow rather, out to the left. Press down through the palm of the right hand until you begin to reach the heart towards the left. So this right knee's bent, getting a stretch through the outer line of the left leg, engaging through the armpit and the palm of the right hand to reach the heart to the left. Option to stay here or to open the left arm towards the sky. And while you're in this, create a little bit, maybe like 35% engagement in the belly to elongate the torso forward so that you're not just collapsing down or back. You're getting length up and down as well as laterally. And breathe. If you have the arm raised, you can release the left arm so that the left forearm comes behind the lower back. And use that grip as if your right hand could reach, or your left hand rather, could reach towards the right hip. Couple more breaths. I'm going to release the left arm if it's taking a bind behind the back, back down to the block. Straighten through the right leg, reach the crown forward, engage through the belly long to get a nice half lift with the spine parallel to the earth. And as you exhale, bend into the left knee. Keep that right leg straight or almost straight. Root the left palm into the block or whatever you're using in front of you. Take the right hand to the right hip and open the heart out towards the right. Pause here. Pressing through the heel of the left hand to create length and levity in one of our primary pillars of foundation that we're standing into, which is our arm and our hand at the moment. And on an inhale, option to reach this right hand towards the sky. And this can be a lot of a heart opener too, so feel free to sort of wave this arm around until you get any sensations that are truly feeling nourishing, compassionate for your system, for your body. Couple deep breaths. Elongate the tail back behind you so that that right hip is really reaching behind as your whole torso reaches forward. Option to take the right hand behind the back, creating a bit of a bind, reaching those right fingertips towards the left hip. Honoring any sensations in the shoulder if this feels like it's not a very awesome shape for your shoulder. And release the right arm down, back to the block, straighten through the left leg. One more elongation of the crown forward. And exhale. As you exhale, heel toe the feet out to the side just a little bit. Have the toes reaching towards the side of your space at like a 45-degree angle. And begin to bend the knees and drop the tail down, coming into a squat. Let your hands come to the earth in front of you, inside of the knees, just to get a little bit of an assist to reach the knees out towards the side, just for a moment to get a stretch there. Rooting down into the feet. If you need to keep your heels raised, not a problem, that works just as great. Also, option to take a block underneath the seat and then bring the hands to heart center. In Malasana pose, garland pose. As you rest here in whatever variation you choose to take, blocker cushion or no blocker cushion, hands down and out to the side or together at prayer and heart center. Take the mind to the spine, the back body, and find some elongation there. So instead of just being curled over into the squat, you're reaching down through the tail to level the spine out and let the crown reach towards the ceiling. It might be a little bit diagonally forward, but the focus, the movement we're moving towards is to raise the heart, open the heart, and lift the crown towards the sky. Couple breaths here. You're also welcome to take an option of getting a little bit deeper groin stretch by placing the palms on the earth and then leaning in so that the elbows are taking a little bit of the weight of your legs, almost as if you're going into crow, but definitely not going into that engaged of a posture, just giving yourself an opportunity to let the elbows open up the groin, as long as that feels nourishing and doesn't feel any pinching or burning. And even if you take this option, focus on the elongation of the spine. Little engagement through the belly to support this. And if you've taken this deeper stretch, this other groin opening option, come back to Malasana. Take an inhale. Lean forward, place the palms on the earth, Release the knees down to the earth and bring the toes towards each other, untucked behind you. So your knees are open wide, toes are tucked under. Sit back onto the heels for a moment. Begin to walk the hands back behind you. Take the left hand down with the palms facing, or the fingertips rather, facing behind you. And on an inhale, sweep the right arm out and up. And as you do so, you can press down through the left palm to lift the pelvis up and reach the pelvis forward. So you're pressing into the left palm. Right arm is reaching up and overhead. You've come up onto the knees, any amount here, and you can always take an adjustment, bring the hand in or out a little bit more. Open up through the heart. You can once again kind of wave this right arm around to see where you feel the most nourishing opening. Head can be in any position that feels easeful and doesn't require a lot of tension or effort. One more breath. And release the hips back down to the heels. Come back up through center for a moment. Hands come to heart center. You might be engaged a little bit in the legs to support this, and that's fine. And then lean back, take the right palm to the earth behind you, right fingertips reach behind you. Inhale, sweep the left arm forward and up as you reach the hip points forward, opening up to the left, getting a stretch through the front of the left shoulder and the heart, maybe even the quads and the hips. And release the hips back down to the heels. Come so that the spine is upright over the hips. Bring the knees in towards each other. Sit back on the heels for a moment. Let the engagement and the opening of that posture settle, reintegrate, and regather. Deep breathing in through the nose if it's available, through the entire upright column of the body, straight down through the seat. An opportunity here to bring back into focus that person or entity that you invited into the practice. To hold them tenderly, and therefore to hold yourself in the same manner. Open the eyes if they're closed, sit the hips to one side, feet go to the other, and come into a cross-legged position. Any variation is fine. The sit bones on the earth, and spine reaching long. Take an inhale. On the exhale, drop the chin towards the chest. Take a little forward bend of the head and neck. Inhale, focusing on length through the back of the neck. Raise the head up, bringing the chin in slightly. Just get a little bit of elongation through the very top of the spine. And then open the arms out to the side. Fingertips reaching away from each other. Engage with any sensations coming in through the inner line of the arms, up into the shoulders or the collarbones. Flip the right palm towards the back of your space. Take the left hand to the earth or to your hip. Let the right arm drift down to about a 45-degree angle. And this may be plenty stretch. Option to add a little bit more deepening to this sensation by letting the gaze drift down towards your left shoulder. Being mindful and honoring any sensations here that come up, and they can change too. You might find that letting the gaze drift down toward the left shoulder works for a little bit, and then things shift, and then you need to come back up. And that is the practice of yoga. Wise, skillful action and being present with what is here and acknowledging how it changes as it changes and responding effectively. You can also play with balling the right hand into a fist and torquing it a little bit towards your wrist, so your knuckles are sort of reaching behind you, keeping the arm straight. And take a moment of silence to breathe into all of the sensation, to soften, to welcome, or to acknowledge what isn't ready to be brought into the space yet, what isn't ready to be integrated. Relax specifically through that right jaw muscle, that right jaw joint. And now if you've taken your right hand into a fist, relax the hand open again. And then begin to bend the right elbow up towards the sky, any amount. So you come into this sort of right angle with your right fingertips reaching down towards the earth. Right elbow is out towards the side and beginning to reach up towards the ceiling. And relax that right arm. If you've taken the gaze down to the left, gently bring the head up to center. Inhale, sweep out the arms to the side, both palms facing forward. Take a little bit of a heart opener, rooting down through the sit bones to elongate up and out. Gaze can lift. And as you exhale, drop the right hand to the earth beside you or the hip. Flip the left palm to face behind you. And then let the left hand drift down to a 45-degree angle from the shoulder towards the earth. Same options on this side to stay here or to let the gaze fall down towards the right shoulder. And check in with your seat. Notice if in this position that is bringing sensation to the upper part of the body, if you can still also feel the weight of the bones of the hips and pelvis rooting down into the earth, the weight of the legs heavy, the strength of all these inner muscles that are holding the torso upright, and the relaxation of the shoulders and the jaw and the neck and the head to allow for the opening, recognizing the complexity of what we were actually able to accomplish in this body, seemingly conflicting motions and engagements. And begin to lift the left elbow up towards the ceiling as you let the right hand reach down towards the earth, coming into this little scarecrow or flipped cactus arm. Two breaths. If you have any shaking or wobbling, know that that's normal and okay. And release the arm gently to float down. Whole left arm relaxes. And once it has come to rest at your side, bring the head back up to center. And notice if your head wants to make any movements, or the jaw wants to make any sort of sideways movements, give your body a moment to let that happen. And this can feel, if you've never done this before, this can feel a little wonky, a little wild. You might feel like your body is moving without you actually making it happen. And know that this is normal. This is a super normal thing to happen in this area of the body. And it will actually settle once it's finished. If it feels a little too wild, you can always just pause, close the eyes, and breathe, keeping the head centered. And continuing to breathe. And we'll pause this movement now, even if it's wanting more. Know that you can come back to this later and experiment, see how long it goes, what it looks like, this little dance of the body. Bring the knees up towards the ceiling, bending them so that the feet can uncross and come down to place the soles on the earth. Zip the legs together by giving yourself a big hug. And squeeze the legs into the body, getting some real compression into the front of the chest, bringing and gathering the whole body in, engaging through the arms, through the legs, squeezing yourself as small as possible. You can even tilt the head down and come into a full seed shape so that your chin comes in towards the chest and the head rests on the knees. And allow this compression to re-establish the boundaries of your body that can sometimes get a little unraveled in allowing that craniosacral movement. This is just creating impact grounding for the upper body. So you press the knees into the chest firmly. You can even press the chest forward against the legs. For 2 more breaths. And relax it all. Allow your legs to extend long and open up. Sit bones re-finding the floor. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. And on the exhale, using core engagement, begin to slowly, as you reach the fingertips forward, let the tail tuck and begin to roll yourself down using that core strength all the way down onto your back, letting the head and neck be the last points to touch the earth. Once you get there, let the arms sweep up and overhead and come into a full body stretch. First, reaching the right fingertips, the right toes away from each other so you can kind of stay limp on the left side and get a right side body stretch. And release the right side and extend long through the left side, fingers and toes, hands and feet, legs and arms reaching away from each other, letting that right side body curl into itself a bit. And let that go. Re-find your hips and your shoulders at a level center. And pause, landing in this supine position with the back body meeting the earth from the heels to the calves to the hamstrings, the glutes and the back of the hips. Maybe you feel the sacrum pressing firmly down. And then somewhere the ribs touch and kiss the floor. The shoulder blades press firmly down. And the arms rest heavy overhead. The back of the head rooting down into the earth without engagement, but just allowing the natural weight of the head to press down. Take 2 deep inhales and notice which part of the body is rising. If it's primarily the chest and you're not noticing any movement in the lower belly, you might play with inviting a little bit lower breath. And just notice if it's available or not. And then bend the knees, placing the feet on the floor, hip width distance apart. Have your block or your towel roll nearby. Walk the heels in towards the sit bones a little bit. Place the arms beside you so that the palms are facing down and pressing into the earth on either sides of your hips. And then rooting into the feet as well as the backs of the shoulders and that upper back. Begin to engage through the lower belly to curl the tail up off the earth and then begin to lift the whole pelvis up until you come into a bridge position, peeling lower parts of the spine off the earth, and then slide that prop, whatever you're using, underneath the sacrum, that little tailbone spot, the very base of the spine, and then rest the body back down onto the prop, disengaging, allowing this to be a passive, inverted posture. And give the mind a moment of silence to just observe what it does, where it's at. And notice that there is an awareness in you that can notice what is present in the mind. So there is a reflective observer that is seeing, noticing, recalling what it is you are thinking, what you're imagining. Just taking note of the power of consciousness to reflect upon itself. Noting that this isn't something we make happen, it's something, a mechanism that was there, available to us already. Like the natural resources of the earth, we can learn to get more data on and more understanding of the natural resources of the mind, of awareness. One more deep breath. So if you could breathe through your knees out towards the diagonal upward angle of your room or the space you're in. As you exhale, press firmly into the feet to gently lift yourself off the prop. Slide it to one side and roll the back down to meet the floor. Giving the spine space to adjust and acknowledging that this spot right here, before we move to the next position, is a posture in and of itself. Has information to give, value to be had. Extend one leg long, and then the other. Take one more full body stretch. Your own variation, opening and reaching into and engaging whatever part of your body is calling for that. And relax it all down. And as you're ready, make your way to the final resting position. You can stay exactly where you are and observe what comes here. Or if there's any discomfort, or you're just really feeling like you want to take a particular position, let it be so, let it happen. Give yourself this. This is an opportunity to take what actually truly feels the best. with nothing but benefit coming from it. Let the eyes close if they haven't already, by just simply relaxing the eyelids and the forehead and the cheekbones and the temples until the eyelids shut. Optional is to cover up here with any layers. And as you let yourself be heavy into the earth, be weighted by the blanket of gravity, take the next just couple minutes to sink your awareness down into the heart center. So just invite and see what happens. There's nothing to do really. It's just an invitation to invite the awareness, that mind's eye, down into the chest, down between the collarbones, underneath the sternum. And notice what you're holding there, or if you can even feel anything there. And I'll return in just a few minutes to guide you out. Knowing that you can remain here for as long as you'd like, as long as your schedule allows. If you are ready to rise to the next part of your day, take the transition to take some deeper inhales and perhaps invite your attention or part of your attention to remain here in this heart center space. Nothing to make happen, just an invitation to the self. And after a few wiggles of the toes and the fingers, roll to one side, curling the knees in towards the chest, resting the head on the inner bicep of whatever arm is closest to the earth. Let yourself be heavy on the side. Take a deep inhale to gather energy, to gather sustenance and vitality. And on the exhale, let everything that's ready to be left here in this practice go out through the mouth. And from this place, the seed position on our sides is representation of a new beginning. Press one hand into the earth and carry yourself up to a seat. Eyes can remain soft. And once you are up in a seat, press both palms into your chest, over the heart, pressing firmly with the hands stacked. Breathe into your palms. And take this split-second moment to feel the compassion and gratitude that is cultivated through simply inviting an intention in. I honor you, your commitment to this practice, to this space, your open heart and your open mind. Thank you so much for practicing, and welcome to your weekend.